Oil is protected in Saudi Arabia. Oil is potentially the most important commodity traded on the exchanges today. Oil is fought over in wars. Oil price moves can cause massive upheaval. Keep your eyes on the liquid black gold. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Why don't you take a guess at which quote-unquote rogue oil and gas nation output hit a record high? Let's get into it. Russian oil output in December stays at record highs. Right now, there is a considerable amount of oil and gas being outputted by Russia. Let's look at this chart. The crude output right now has spiked in recent months. You can see the considerable gains in output as the years have gone on. I do believe that there is reason for this. There is more demand. And despite what we're being told about the glut in the inventories around the world of crude oil, I do believe that there is more demand. It's simply supply and demand fundamentals. There are more people moving from the rural areas into the cities that will ultimately result in more oil consumption. There are new technologies that are coming out, solar and everything else, which reduce the need for oil, but it's so small in comparison to how important oil is at this time. I think that solar and other new energies that are coming out are amazing. I'm a big fan of them, but I'm just talking about the economics here. When you look at it, oil is huge. There's no denying that. Russian gas monthly output, and you can see here again that you have a massive amount at this time. Let's move on to many other topics. I just want to go through these very quickly right now. Britain has the world's top economy. Can you believe this? So I thought to myself here, wasn't it just a few months ago where we were told in the mainstream media that the UK was doing terrible? That because there was Britain leaving the euro, the Brexit caused a massive and terrible drought in the economy. It was such a bad idea and everything was going to hell. Well, let's just go back in time. The Brexit economy, falling pound and rising inflation fuel fears of a slowdown. Here they are in The Guardian talking about how they're so bad for having this Brexit, how they're quote unquote leaving Europe, and it's going to be terrible. Let's move to this one. The Independent. Brexit turbulence and pound's 31-year low causes UK economy to fall behind France. That was in October of 2016. So here they are saying it was doing terrible. And then right here, the UK growth expectations or predictions fall after Brexit. Britain's abandoned plans to seek a budget surplus by the end of the decade as the country's finance minister cut growth predictions as a result of the Brexit. Okay? So we're getting some conflicting information. He said the slower economic growth coupled with higher inflation and lower tax receipts meant the country could no longer balance the budget by 2020. We keep getting these mixed signals, but I just showed you. They're apparently, I don't know, if this is going to continue at all, but the top economy. So here we are a few months ago trying to fearmonger, trying to say that everything is terrible. Brexit hasn't even happened, by the way. Let's just be clear about that. But they're trying to say that as a result of this Brexit vote, everything's going to go to hell. Then you see these statistics that say absolutely not. It's quite the opposite. I thought you would all enjoy that. Hello to all my friends in the UK. we have a major catastrophe that is going on. I do believe underlying any sort of positive information that we do get, and I do bring that to you, although some people will deny that when it is available. I'm seeing more and more layoffs. I'm seeing jobs being replaced either offshored or being replaced by automation and technology. Department store chains Macy's and Kohl's both cut their 2016 forecasts on Wednesday after the holiday season sales fell more than expected, pushing the shares down. They're firing a lot of people. They're replacing, in the case of Amazon and everything else, replacing the workforce with robots and automation. This is becoming something that has become a trend. And you can tell that the companies are in favor of this simply because of what happens every time they lay people off. The stocks go up. And it is sad beyond belief when a whole bunch of people lose their jobs and stocks rise. I mean, that's criminal. That is terrible to see it, but it happens all the time. Corporate profits are extremely important to the shareholders, and it's unbelievable when you have analysts giving buy signals on layoffs. That's criminal. But they say, you know what? I'm just saying it like it is. I'm not the enemy in all this business, but you're all a part of it. When they do that type of thing, you're all a part of this. Global debt levels, can you believe this? Globally, it's not just one country, okay, as some like to believe. Global debt levels rose to more than 325% of the world's GDP last year as the government debt rose sharply. I do believe that Mark Faber said it best, and I'll paraphrase him. In the last recession, it was when the corporations went bust. But this time around, the governments are going to go bust, and this is what they deserve. This is exactly what's happening, where you see that these corporations, which held the government hostage, are now living pretty on all those bailouts that they received. $16 trillion from the Federal Reserve in the limited audit, the TARP bailout, everything else. And then you look at everything that has happened since, where the governments have put themselves in a very little predicament. In fact, they have this impossibility by any stretch of your imagination. There is no possible way that they can ever get out of this mathematically. Impossible. And you look at 325% of the world GDP, we're doomed. Simply doomed if we follow their whole scheme. If we let our pension funds and our stocks and everything else that seemed to be okay, our mutual funds and everything else, seem to be there to take us away into retirement, whether that's maybe Freedom 55, anyone? Or is it Freedom 75, 85? What is it? And we're supposed to have that nest egg waiting for us. If you're waiting for that, I'm really worried for you. Quickly here, U.S. auto sales, the only reason I wanted to mention this was they claim that they are rising. You could see here, other than the plateau that has occurred. I just wanted to note this. Cash for clunkers, okay? Look at the spike that it created, okay? Huge, right? So they can promote all of these things. They could say, look at how good auto sales were during this time period. It was so amazing. Yes, we spent billions of dollars, but ignore that. Look at during this time, we increased sales by this much and that much. But look at what happened. It just continued the trend. Look at the trend line. So what? It spiked for a couple months. It came back down. The government cannot solve problems. It is impossible. It's not possible. They can't solve any problems. Doesn't matter what they try and do. They can create public works projects, they can print money, they can do anything, but it's always going to result in a failure. Let's move on here. Last one. This is basically the S&P 500 price versus earnings, okay? That's essentially what we're looking at. They're already circled, but I'll just do it again here. You're looking at back during the dot-com boom approximately, and then you'll see this today. You're hitting the same numbers, okay? And what we need to note is what's in green down here, and that is the crash which took place after. Yes, you had this high point, and there was some fluctuations on the way, but look where it turned out. It's just one indicator, but that's of many indicators that had been seen. And the price earnings ratios are, when you're looking at particular stocks, it's interesting to look at anyway. It doesn't really give you the whole picture, that's for sure. But that's why I always bring you, I'm sure since the beginning, I've probably brought you at least, I'm being conservative, hundreds and hundreds of different indicators that show you the situation that is going on right now. This happens to be one of the popular ones. I even talk about it in my book and everything because I do believe that it does get a lot of attention and it does show the truth in a very sort of concise way. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. If you found the video informative, I know you will find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. So, if you want to look through the book, just head over to Amazon because they have a look inside feature that will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.